Welcome to Right Now, the podcast of the I94 West Chamber of Commerce, brought to you by Clear Simple Business. I'm Greg Anzels.
I'm Sarah Becker.
And I'm Will McLeod on the controls.
Today is June 11th, and we've got, Sarah, an awesome show for everybody today. We're coming to you from the Chamber of Commerce offices located in the global headquarters of the Rogers Printing and Promotional Building here in beautiful Rogers. Thank you for joining us today. We've got some great topics, including the Phase 3 reopening of businesses this week, which has been, I think, Sarah, long anticipated and welcomed by everybody, business owners as well as, you and I looking for, places to go eat and places to go shop and support all those great local businesses. So that was fun. And Sarah, we have to welcome, this is kind of a good story to kick things off. Sarah and I launched the podcast a couple weeks ago on our own, and it was pretty bare bones. It was Sarah and I in the office here at the Chamber, kind of fumbling through things. We executed it pretty darn well, to be honest. But we looked at each other and we said, boy, we need to bring in somebody to help us. And we thought about Will at Cloud Media, who we've known for a couple of years. And Will had gone down some different paths, and sort of his business took him away from the Chamber for a little bit. And we thought, boy, what a great time to re-engage him. And here we are today, Sarah, with Will sitting on the controls from Cloud Media. And we went from basically you and I in a laptop to you and I in a 5-camera setup with a complete, we kind of feel like we're on a radio show being broadcast nationwide. So how cool has it been to reconnect with Will?
Yes, Will is amazing. We couldn't figure out the soundboard the first time. I was like, I know Will. He can come and help us, and I'm sure he'll figure it out within a minute. And he came in, figured it out, and then said, do you know what we could do? And Greg and I kind of looked at him like, I guess we could do that. That sounds exciting. A little terrifying to go from just starting to 5 cameras, but it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got, as I mentioned, a great show here. We're going to talk about some new and returning members. We've got some Valley Fair tickets we're going to give away from our Chamber member, Wendy, from Valley Fair. And, to kick things off, Sarah, it's already been a busy week here at the Chamber. We've had a couple of really awesome events. We had the Medina Club on Tuesday, and then you got together with Bob Schlichty Tuesday afternoon it was, 1 o'clock, to do a webinar and talk a little bit about that. That was a lot of fun.
Yes, and first off, I'll just say on behalf of myself and Bob, we survived. We are both introverts, and you should have seen us before the webinar. It was, Greg probably wasn't really sure what to do with with both of us, but we survived, and it was amazing. Bob has a wonderful message about the value of relationships, and I think now more than ever that message is important. With everything that's going on, relationships are really top of mind, and top of values. And Bob has some great stories about how he was able to use his relationships and friendships, relationships, partnerships, right, which ultimately led to sponsorships. So it's really, his message is really being kind, valuing those relationships, respecting other folks, and it's a great message. And then I came in, I got to use the ship analogy and talk about the undercurrents within your organization and how well you are managing those. And that also goes into relationships, friendships, and partnerships, and what's kind of happening within an organization. And so it was fun. Like I said, we both survived, and we had a great turnout. We've had great feedback, and we'll be posting that replay online within this week, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that'll be posted on the Chamber website, the Chamber YouTube channel. We're going to re-engage that YouTube channel that currently houses some great content, but between this podcast being uploaded to the YouTube channel, the I94 West Chamber of Commerce YouTube channel, we'll also have some events that'll be uploaded to that. So if you're unable, I think, Sarah, in this little moment in time, it's difficult for people to budget time and really carve out an hour or two during the day because they're they're kind of back up and running their businesses, right? I mean, we've talked about the phase 3 reopening, and people are definitely in that moment where they're like, we have to rehire staff, we have to figure out our plan. So maybe let's just kind of walk through some of these guidelines that were put in place effective June 10th, because it's kind of interesting. We all have our own opinions on some of these guidelines, and we all know that one size doesn't fit all. But some of the things that are sort of eye-catching to me is general gatherings moved to 25 people outdoor and 10 people indoor. So I guess what that means is our neighborhood bonfires and things, we can now get away with
25.
having 25 people. And I know Will just bought a house in Maple Grove, so I don't know if he's got 25 friends and neighbors yet, Will.
If not, he could invite us over.
Not quite.
He's getting there. And by the
I'm
way,
sure we could find
everybody-
25 people listening to invite over.
And by the way, for everybody listening, if you happen to watch, every time I look at Will, he's a drummer in a band, and he just reminds me of Don Henley. So I think and Sarah's looking at me like, who in the world is Don Henley? And
I can take a guess, I'm sure.
Well, Don Henley wrote Desperado probably before you were born, right? So, but of course, Don Henley's the drummer for the Eagles. And before the summer's out, or maybe in September, we're going to have Will in here, and we're going to have him reenact the Boys of Summer, because that's an absolutely fabulous Don Henley song. And Will on the drums,
For the record, I just want everybody to know I haven't agreed to this yet.
We'll get him. We got a few months to talk him into it.
Fun. But we'll get 25 people over to Will's new house in Maple Grove at some point. Restaurant and bars, Sarah. That's kind of a fun one.
Yes. I did make it out to a bar last week. So normally I'd be playing volleyball every Tuesday at one of the local bars, and I've been supporting them with the takeout, but it's completely different than going, especially since the weather's gotten so nice, to be able to go sit outside. Like, yes, it's different. It's a different atmosphere, but it's just wonderful to be able to see people in person. I think so many of us, Zoom and technology has been wonderful with staying in touch with people, but there's nothing that can make up for that face-to-face, in-person, not non-contact, just social distancing, hanging out.
Totally agree. I went over yesterday, Sarah, for lunch at Guadalajara, which is right across the street from the chamber office here. And I kind of thought, this is going to be interesting. And I sat down in there, and they had, it's 50% indoor capacity. So essentially they had every other table cordoned off, so you couldn't sit there. But I sat down and looked around, and they had a good crowd in there. Of course, the food is fabulous at Guadalajara, fabulous restaurant. And
Yeah, Guadalajara, man. Shout out to about everything on their menu. That's my family's place for Mexican.
Nice.
I'll tell you what, it was odd to be sitting in a restaurant again. It kind of felt like I haven't been here forever, right? I haven't been sitting down in a restaurant having somebody serve me in several months. So it's a good feeling to be back into the swing of things. We all can get haircuts, although they're only open to 50% at salons and barbers.
And that went up already, correct? Because they started out at just 25%. So with the phase 3, they can
they bumped up
do even more.
Right. So, bowling alleys, movie theaters, gyms, pools, churches. I mean, all the things that we're used to. It's good to see in phase 3 that we're going to hopefully start to swing back into that, right? Because that's important. That's just part of our daily routines. And of course, chamber member businesses, or all businesses for that matter, really rely on that. And they rely on us coming in and supporting them. And it was a moment in time where I felt like we need to get back. So I was glad to see phase 3 happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some sense of normalcy. And I went back to the gym, which was great and not so great. My legs are still sore from 2 days ago. But it's, like I said earlier, the Zoom and the online, it brings you something, but it's still not the same as being there with people in person. So it's wonderful that we can start inching ourselves back into kind of those social face-to-face interactions. That's not just Menards and shopping there.
Right. What was it like at the gym? That had to have been an odd feeling, right? Going into a gym, usually it's high energy and packed with people, and you
Yep.
kind of feed off the energy. What was the experience?
Yeah, so my gym is only group fitness, so we don't have all the weights and everything, but I think it's 18 people that they can have in the area, and sometimes you'd have 30, 40 people working out with you. And it is still kind of different with you have to wear your mask on your way in. They take your temperature, and then you have different stations where it's just you. Like, there's not as much kind of mingling around, so it's not quite the same, but it's still a lot better than. They did a great job with the Zoom workouts throughout this whole time,
Right.
which it was great to see. You could see the people, and they could tell you to stop slacking off, which was great and not great.
I don't view you as a slacker. They weren't talking to you, right?
No, other
Never.
people.
Yeah, right.
It was other
Sarah's
people they were
Sarah's
telling.
a hockey player, so I know that she is absolutely not a slacker, for sure.
Yes, but it's different, but it's still a step kind of back to that normal, I guess you can say, what we had before.
Well, I'm a music guy, and I'll loop in Will on this as well. But I can see that, or I saw in the restrictions, that outdoor entertainment is not to exceed 250 people. And I'll be honest, one of the things I've missed, and I truly mean this, one of the things I've missed the most is going and seeing some live music somewhere. Whether it's a guy just playing a guitar by himself or whatever the case might be. Missed out on a couple of concerts this summer. I grew up in the 80s. I was super excited to go to see Motley Crue and Def Leppard and Poison. That got canceled along with Kenny Chesney and everybody else. But we can loop in Will into this part of the conversation. He's in the music business. But I think people just want to be entertained right now, and it was at least good to see you can have 250 people, which means you can go to a spot and listen to some live music.
Yeah, I wonder if some of the restaurants, like the Lookout, would have live music Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays.
Right.
Do you know anything? Will, are you getting more gigs again?
I have friends around the country that are into music, and I see other places opening up. I haven't seen too many here in the Twin Cities yet.
No.
I guess there has to be some venues doing some stuff, but there's a guy in our neighborhood we just moved into that on Thursday evenings would sit out in his front patio and play
nice.
music for the neighbors, but it's not the same, right? It's not this great environment and big stage, and I look forward to getting back to it for sure.
Well, I know Boondocks does a good job with live music, and some of the other establishments that are chamber members. So I'm looking forward to that. I was excited to see that we could start to have gatherings up to 250 for that outdoor entertainment. So that was kind of fun. Let's talk about some members. We love to promote member businesses, and the Chamber of Commerce here over the past month has been receiving a lot of renewals. We've received some new members, and Sarah, I just feel like this is a moment in time where being a part of something, being a part of a chamber, is really important for businesses to leverage their relationship with the chamber to connect with other members of the chamber and to find some new business for themselves. So I think as everybody's sort of emerging into this new frontier, memberships in the chamber is probably more important than ever.
Mm-hmm. Like Bob talked about, the friendships, partnerships, relationships. That's where I've built the most. Being part of this chamber and being involved in this chamber is where I've created the most relationships.
Right. And I feel the exact same way. It's been nothing but positive for me in the business community, and I've met a lot of great people that have become friends, like yourself. And so we love when we see the renewals come in. We love when we see the new members coming on board. To mention a few, Linda Rulin from Spirit of Success renewed her membership. Caden Technologies, premier member Guadalajara restaurant, which we've already talked about. Great people. Stop in, see them in Rogers. Anne-Marie Lemansky, Events. She does a great job. Kevin Remdy from Remdy Technologies renewed his membership. And Phil's Quality Auto in Corcoran. Now, Phil's an interesting guy. Not only does he have a nice auto repair business in Corcoran, but Phil was on the call for the Medina Club on Tuesday. It was a little lighter crowd this week, so it was a little more intimate, which is fun because you really get to know some folks. And obviously you need some work done on your car. We've got a lot of great members within the chamber, but Phil was telling stories about being the president. Now get this, he's the president of the Great Lakes Shipwreck Preservation Society. Can't believe I got that out without going all over it. That's a mouthful.
That sounds like fun.
It is, and as I was asking him and inquiring, I was just kind of fascinated, like, the Great Lakes Shipwreck Preservation Society, like, what is that involved? So essentially, he was telling myself and the others on the call that they go up to the Great Lakes. They're not doing it this year because of social distancing. But on a typical summer, they'd go up several times and they would actually search for shipwrecks. And everyone can check out the website. It's super cool. It's GLSPS, Great Lakes Shipwreck. Well, I shouldn't say that because it's
Preservation.
Preservation Society. Thank you. Thank you. GLSPS.clubexpress.com. And from that site, there's another site where actually once they explore, and you kind of check out that membership site, you can go to 3dshipwrecks.org. And now, Sarah, this is a super cool site because you can check out shipwrecks from Lake Erie, Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, all the Great Lakes, right? Including Lake Minnetonka, by the way, which isn't a Great Lake, but it's right down the road, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
And they have 3D models on this 3dshipwrecks.org website of these 450-foot ships that went down in, the early 1900s. I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating. So the point is, you never know who you're going to meet through the Chamber of Commerce, and walking into Phil's Quality Automotive in Corcoran, you can get an education on shipwrecks in addition to getting your car fixed.
Right, and it's so much fun meeting people on, like you said, sometimes you have that smaller group, especially with Zoom, you can get to know people better, and learning about people's hobbies, I think, is a lot more fun sometimes than even learning about their business, because you can just connect with people on such a deeper level. And how fascinating the shipwrecks. So I learned how to scuba dive when I was in Asia, in Thailand, and my husband and I keep talking about going up to the Great Lakes and diving all the shipwrecks up there. Now, it's probably easier to put the cameras down because it's very cold, especially if you do Superior, but fascinating. I'm going to have to check out that website. I can't see it on your computer. You're hiding it.
Another member I got to spend some time with this past week, Heidi, at Heidi's Grow House. I rode my motorcycle over there because I was looking for all things a bird bath. And it's kind of a funny story. I won't tell it. But
can you get a bird bath on your motorcycle?
Or
is that the funny story?
I rode in and she looked at me and she's like, how are you going to get anything out of this place onto that Harley Davidson? And I said, well, I need a bird bath. And she kind of looked at me and started laughing. But what a great person. What an absolutely fabulous business Heidi has over there in Corcoran, Heidi's Grow House. Check that out if you haven't.
Yes. I've been there multiple times. So I do a garden, vegetable garden, and I'll go get some of my vegetables from her over there. And she does a great job. And I know, I don't know if she had to cancel some, but she was doing different events. She had different events for kids where they could go, instead of sandboxes, there was a dirt box. Because just that connection to the dirt and being in there and,
Sure.
and feeling it. And so check her out. She's great. And she's been quite involved too. She always does the annual dinner, the
Right.
floral arrangements, which
Fabulous.
the last two, because you can bid on them, and the last two I got one from our table. There's also, I wanted to bring up Cross Services. So there's Elizabeth over at Cross Services, and I feel like I've been seeing more and more kind of people standing on the corners asking for food. And whenever I see them, I think of Elizabeth at Cross Services, because they excuse me, they have food. So they kind of have the food services. And over there, they're committed to serving families and individuals in times of need, providing mercy and compassionate support services. So now there might be more and more families in need. So it's a good reminder that there are services available in our community. And if you aren't in need of those services and want to give back, there's always the opportunity to donate money. So Elizabeth was at a Coffee and Conversations meeting when we were able to have it in person. I think it was at Three Squares, probably back in January or February, and was talking about how, people can give money and they can get food at something like 10 cents to the dollar that they're able to purchase food. So that's always a good option. But she also encouraged people to donate food because with the variety of food and the brands that they're able to purchase is limited. And so sometimes having those name brands, Campbell Soup or Kraft Mac and Cheese is really nice for the people who are using their services. And I know she has a ton of volunteer opportunities. So if you're looking to give back, or again, remember, there's no shame in needing those services. So, take advantage.
No shame at all, and that's crossservices.org. And the phone number over there, Sarah, is 763-425-1050. So definitely a lot of great things happening there. And Elizabeth, she does a fabulous job. So thanks for mentioning that as well. We're going to shift into something fun. We're going to give away some Valley Fair tickets. And we're going to not make it complicated. We're going to make it super easy. So if you're one of the few first, I shouldn't say few first, because our first podcast had some good traction and some good interaction, but certainly appreciate everyone that's listening in. Drop an email to info@I94westchamber.org. Did I get that right? info@I94westchamber.org.
Yes.
And we'll randomly draw. You have to be a chamber member. We'll randomly draw someone for a couple of tickets to Valley Fair, again, courtesy of Wendy Marilla over there at Valley Fair, who, by the way, Wendy's son, his name's Boston. And I feel like, Will's a very well-traveled, I'm switching gears here over to Will on the controls, but I bring up Will because he's a very well-traveled guy. One of my favorite cities in America is Boston. So when Wendy said, my name's son is Boston, he's going to play baseball at the University of Minnesota this fall. His dad was an outstanding baseball player. He's an All-American at the U, and then went on to play some professional baseball. Mark Marilla, I knew him from high school baseball. But Boston Marilla won some awards coming out of high school. So it's fun. Wendy's been in the hockey business, or was in the hockey business for a long time, as I was. So we knew a lot of common people. So again, just the chamber in the small world, reconnecting like we have with Will. It was super cool to re-engage and talk to Wendy, and we've got some Valley Fair tickets. So if you're interested in Valley Fair tickets, I would just say that the park isn't quite open yet. We're going to give them away, but you kind of got to wait for the park to open, or that moose from Vacations probably going to be saying, sorry folks, park's closed when you show up. But yeah, we've got some Valley Fair tickets to give away. We're going to do something fun like that every podcast. We'll give something fun away. So if you're interested, info@I94westchamber.org. And then we're going to talk a little bit about you, Sarah, here in a minute. I want to give a shout out to all the great partners. We've got a ton of great partners here at the Chamber. I mentioned Rogers Printing and Promotional. They're a great partner to the Chamber. We have office space, beautiful office space in their building here in Rogers. J&B Group, they're a great partner for the Chamber. They do a lot of awesome things, including product for some of our events. So Amy Valek and Dana over there at J&B and the whole crew, I know they're, like everybody, going through kind of a challenging time right now, but a shout out to them. Chris Barta at Franklin Outdoor Advertising. Chris is an awesome partner. Shorty over there at Farmers State Bank of Hamel. If you're looking for a good place to squirrel away your money, invest your money, save your money, invest, go see the guys at Farmers State Bank of Hamel. And Chad Klein over there at FedEx Ground. Chad has been a a board member here at the I94 West Chamber, and he kind of runs the. It's a huge operation over there, Sarah. If you haven't been by, I've actually been into the FedEx facility there. It's absolutely a ginormous campus.
And
It's super cool.
I can't even imagine how busy they've been since the stay-at-home order and the quarantine. I know personally I order a hell of a lot of stuff online, more so than I have ever done
Right.
before. We're getting a package almost every day, and
It's funny you say that because I asked Chad, I said, how busy are you? And he said, Greg, I am busier now than I am during the peak of the holiday season. So you're exactly right. Everybody's online ordering stuff, having it sent to their house. But what a great partner for the chamber. We're fortunate to have FedEx Ground see the value in the Chamber of Commerce and step up in all the great ways that they do. We've, as I said, got a lot of great members. We've got a lot of great partners that do a lot for the chamber, including yourself, Sarah. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what your business is all about and how you can help members with their day-to-day.
Right. And I think talking a lot about the Phase 3 reopening is a great opportunity to talk about how I'm able to help and support businesses. So my business, Clear Simple Business, is really about creating process improvement changes and updating the way that you are doing your work. And with Phase 3, not only are you opening up, but you're being forced or pushed to open up differently. And when you're in the midst of how you've always done your work, it's really hard to think outside of the box and think of new ways of doing things. And so having a third-party person come in without those biases of here's how we have always done things is a huge advantage at this time.
And I know you've got a nice stable of clients you're currently working with and are always looking for new opportunities. And, again, just this moment in time is fun to, reconnect. So how do people get a hold of you, Sarah?
They can go to my website, clearsimplebusiness.com, or send me over an email. So it's Sarah with an H at clearsimplebusiness.com.
And I know in addition to all the other great things you're involved with, you're a sports fan. So I have to ask you, what do you think of some of the coming out parties, so to speak, that the sports franchises and organizations and leagues are having? I look specifically at the NHL, and I know they have a plan to come out with a 2014 playoff. I don't think they've defined what that really looks like yet in terms of where they're going to hold the games and things like that. It sounds like training camp might start in July. And in the back of my head, I'm just thinking, well, the regular season usually starts September, right? Or not the regular season, but training camp.
Yep.
So I'm trying to marry up what the thinking is, not only with hockey, but there's no baseball, and there's not a lot going on in the sports world, and I think we all need it back, right?
Yeah.
We all need some sports back in our lives.
Yeah, I almost got volleyball back. So the restaurant or bar that I go to play volleyball kind of jumped the gun, and they're like, we're going to start June 14th, which would be this coming week, because they thought they were able to start with Phase 3. But then they got a lot of feedback where it's people can go and practice, but they can't quite have leagues yet, which I thought, kind of made sense. If you have 6 people on a court, you can't really social distance.
Right.
But I had heard that the NHL, so actually a local, Paul Martin, who's a local NHL player.
Former player.
No, he's still playing. He's playing at the Capitals.
He is.
He is. Yes.
Keep going.
You can Google it if you don't believe me. But a family friend was over fixing our garage door, and he's a friend of Paul Martin. And so he said that they're starting camp July 1st. And I don't know how long, do they need 2 weeks, a month of camp before they actually get back? Because we talked about this on the last podcast. You can work your butt off, work out constantly, but you're never in hockey shape. Right. Until you're out on the ice and you're playing games. And so it'll be interesting to see how long they need before they can start with the playoffs. And then, like you said, how is that going to push back the next? Are they only going to have half a season the next season? And even with baseball, I had heard that they were going to have the same end at the same time and just have half as many games, because it must be around July 4th is kind of the halfway point
Right.
for the baseball season.
Right.
But it would be great. One advantage of not having sports is that I was able to downgrade my Hulu account. So we've been saving like $40 a month by not having to have Hulu live for our sporting events. But I will gladly pay the additional $40 a month to have some hockey games on, because definitely
Silver
missing
lining
that out.
in every cloud, huh, Sarah?
Yes, always looking for the silver lining, right? And Will told us at the beginning that he's not a sports guy, but maybe we can. Greg and I we both played hockey, so we were thinking when the ice arenas open up, we might take him out on the rink and see, maybe he's got a hidden talent that he didn't know.
Well, now that we're on camera,
It's hidden very deep.
We'll pull it out.
I think we're all in agreement. We're tired of watching like cornhole tournaments on TV, and what you end up watching sports-wise.
Golf.
I think last night my daughter was actually watching. It was a televised game of tag, and of course it was all. But it was on national TV, and it was, I forget what it was, like Ultimate Tag or something. And I kind of thought, boy, this is a low point for me watching sports. So I went outside and found something to do. But we're excited to not only for sports but for everything in the community and across the nation and across the world, just to get back to some type of reality. So it's fun to get together every week and talk about what's happening locally, regionally, some national things. And for everyone listening, we want you to know, Sarah's a board member here at the I94 West Chamber of Commerce, and we really want businesses to know at this moment in time that we're here to support you. We want to connect you with any and every opportunity that you're looking for. We've got almost 400 member businesses, and there's a lot of resources. There's a lot of great people within the chamber, Sarah, that are involved, that want to be more involved, that want to connect businesses. So if you're trying to figure out your plan into the new frontier, reach out to us here at the chamber. Any of the board members, they're all listed on the website. I'd highly encourage you, as a business owner or an employee at a business, or maybe you're out of work right now and you stumbled upon this podcast and you're looking how to find an inroad with a business in the community. That's what we're here for as a chamber, is to help you succeed. And we encourage you to reach out to us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's amazing, especially looking for businesses. It is a lot about who you know, more so than what you know. I actually helped get my sister get a job over at Tegrity not too long ago.
David Carlson is an absolute great supporter of
Mm-hmm.
the Chamber of Commerce. He's been involved. David Carlson, the owner of Tegrity, he and his wife actually own Tegrity together. Family-owned business, and great example of how good people end up getting connected with good people. So,
Yep.
hey, this has been fun. This has been another adventure for us, and again, giving a huge shout out to Will on the controls.
And the 80 cameras.
Yeah. 80 minus 75, folks. But I'll tell you what, this is looking pretty professional in here. We have Cloud Media. If you're looking for commercial work in terms of video, Will is.
He knows what to do.
He's overwhelming, is what he is, because Sarah and I are sitting in front of all these cameras, and we had a good time. This was good. So, if you like the podcast, share it on your social media, like it. More than anything, just reach out to us if you need anything from the chamber. And thanks for listening. Until next time, remember, it's all out there. It's just up to you to go get it right now.